kind of choice, there is no choice because we just achieved the greatest Democratic Party platform in our lifetimes, easily, maybe in the history of the Democrats.
Absolutely.
So we cannot throw that away.
So, because, and the reason why I hope the Bernie supporters still support Hillary in the fall, because I love the platform. You have a better, I think we as a collective whole have a better chance of pushing that agenda through Hillary than we do through Trump. This next president is going to probably appoint at least two Supreme Court justices. And in order to be able to be successful in overturning Citizens United, that is crucial in there. So I hope that people don't decide to sit out, they don't decide to vote Green Party or Libertarian Party, because I don't want to say President Trump in November.
I hear you.
It is scarier for people who look like my friend Tracy and I than people who look like you dealing with Trump. Trump has more white supremacist organizations supporting him than anyone ever in this country. So I support the cause. I hope that everyone comes to their senses, and I'm not telling people to drop the cause. I'm not telling people to drop the revolution. You just have to revamp how you execute it. And you're going to execute it. We're all going to execute it together. Because it makes sense. But we ain't got a chance in hell of executing this through Trump.
This is true.
We've managed to move Hillary much further to the left than what anybody ever thought she would go. So just imagine if we keep up this type of energy, this type of fight, yes. And the DNC, shame on the DNC for the shit that went on during this convention. Shame, shame, shame. It is embarrassing. We are better than that.
This might be an interesting perspective as well. So having a discussion. I don't know if you want to be part of it. No, we're talking about just people, voters.
Where to die.
That's cute. So on that note, thank you. First of all, thank you for acknowledging DNC, because that is the first step. You got to acknowledge where the flaws were. And
there are many.
And with Bernie supporters from this point on, and the remedy for that is first acknowledging that, then talking about just how you said, we got a platform that we have a good chance of making stronger under a Democratic president than Donald Trump, because Trump's not gonna do it. It's gonna be this beyond extreme. I can't even.
What I want to know is what happens if Hillary doesn't keep her promises.
That's not an option.
But no, it is, because she could not. I mean, Bernie drug her left, and she could snap back right?
Yeah.
She absolutely could. But on that worst day that she snaps back right, she is never better than Trump.
A ham sandwich would be better than Trump.
Well, right, but I mean, so we don't want to put him in office. That's
my big warning sign with him, and I never resort to fear mongering in my political. But one of the first things he talked about when him and Chris Christie got together in that convention, what he would do on his first day is fire anybody that disagrees with him. That's exactly Adolf Hitler did when he was elected as well. What follows that is dismantling any checks and balances. What follows that is a dictatorship here in America that we will be losing our lives and our children. With Hillary, let's say she goes right back to where she was in the 90s. We're still allowed to fight. I was at that convention. I was holding my protest signs. I was a vocal Bernie supporter. No one shut me up. They didn't like it, but I was able to fight, and I'm still going to fight.
The rest of us were a couple 100 feet away from the convention hall. They warn us that Trump wants to build a wall, but that convention is surrounded by a wall. And all the protesters were pushed out of sight, out of mind.
So, like I was telling her,
our rights are already being eroded, even under Hillary. We've been voting the lesser evil for the last 30, almost 40 years, hoping that they would help us.
We have been,
but
and you are so right. And they just keep pushing us further and further and further to the margins. You are absolutely right. This system is effed up, and nobody knows that better than people of color, for sure. This system is effed up.
Absolutely.
But, and really I'm not going to say but, because there's no excuse for that. The system is that up. And we need to absolutely continue this revolution, and we need to amp it up. This is my feeling. Like, we need to amp it up. But now we don't have time between now and November to get where we need to be in this revolution to change the system. So we might have to be stuck another presidential election
I don't think
cycle.
so. Okay.
Okay, no, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say,
I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't want to be rude.
No, I understand. I appreciate that. I just was going to say, I think that we don't have enough time. It's already getting ready. It's already the end of July to November in order to get this revolution where we need it to be. So we might have to suck it up, Buttercup. This is the way I look at it, talking to myself. Suck it up, Buttercup. For one more presidential election, continue to mobilize and raise hell for the next 4 years, and we get what we want, or they're gone.
Yes, because but the only thing is, this system didn't get as jacked up as it is overnight. So it's not going to change overnight. And as two local elected officials, I implore all of you, don't just leave this fight at the national level.
I drove
Shit
here
is
from
going
San
down.
Francisco. I'm not
Shit-
even a delegate. I came
Shit
with
is
two of my
going
friends
down
because I
at
was
the
sleeping and
local.
driving.
Shit is going down at the
Just to
local
get here.
level,
Thank you.
big time. Big time. We need your help at the local level.
Yeah.
That's where it is going down, because people are not paying attention to who's getting elected to their city council, who's
Right.
getting elected to mayor,
Absolutely.
who's on their school board, who's managing stuff at that level. And that level is even more dangerous,
Right.
because that is the stuff that is affecting you on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis. I determine what your tax bill looks like, not President Hillary Clinton, not President Obama.
I'm on the school board. I levy property taxes.
I'd like to talk to you after this conversation.
Yeah,
But you were gonna
she's
say
on the
something.
she's on
I
the school
was.
board. I'm on
Well,
city
it
council.
speaks to-
It is crazy at the local level.
Right.
The Tea Party is,
Oh,
but
yeah.
once they realize, we're not doing really well trying to take over at the national level, let's regroup our efforts. They're persistent little rascals. They have redoubled their efforts majorly at the local level, and they're being successful because people are asleep. And so what they're doing, they're building their resumes, and now that they've been on a library board for 2 or 3 years, then they're moving up to trying to run for state rep or trying to run for state senate. Or yes,
So the point I was going to make. Okay, so let's picture she's in office. What are you doing that day? I just ask a question like, what do you plan to do?
No matter who gets elected, my job is pretty much the same.
So you're
Even if
protesting.
it was Bernie that was in there, my job would be the same. And not just protesting, but also working on stuff locally.
Okay.
But who are you going to
And-
vote
okay,
for?
excellent.
Who are you going to vote for?
I have switched over to the Green Party. At
Jill
this
Stein.
point, I'm really hoping that we can get Jill Stein into the debates. So we can shift the conversation a little bit more off of just, oh my
I
God,
would
Trump,
like that.
and a little bit more to something actually concrete and useful.
And you, what are you going to do?
And also increase the pressure on the Democratic Party to stick with their promises and to move that platform further.
so are you planning on voting Green Party in November?
I very
is,
well
she
might.
So
See,
she
and
might.
you have that luxury to do that as a white woman.
See, that,
I mean, because that's what I want all
I'm
of you to
also in
understand.
California. I'm in
Yeah.
California,
You still have that
so,
luxury to
yeah.
do that as a
Thanks
white
for
woman in
acknowledging
America.
that you have that luxury, by the way.
You have that luxury, and we need our white brothers and sisters not to just walk around with the Black Lives Matter sign. You need to recognize your own privilege.
Right.
We don't have the ability to vote Green
One
Party.
of the interesting points that Jill Stein has on this particular issue is that while the corruption and the bad stuff is going on in the Democratic Party, that's going to continue to exacerbate the base that Trump is feeding off of. So until that stuff gets fixed, people like Trump will continue to be a threat. So that's one of the concerns that we have on this.
I'm an old line Democrat. I come out of Farmer Labor Party people in Minnesota and Southern Civil Rights activists in the state of Louisiana. So I still have this crazy wild notion of trying to reform the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep doing that. But you said something so important, which is about local.
Yeah.
If Bernie won, what I asked, my wife and I were talking about this the other day. I said, if Bernie won, what would we be doing? We would be working on down ticket people, and we would be pushing issues, advocacy.
Yeah,
If
same-
Bernie loses,
same thing.
We need to work
working
on down ticket
downside
issues
people
Yep.
and
advocacy.
advocacy on the issues.
That
That
job
is
is the
exactly
same.
it.
And one
we
more
got to get
step.
that pipeline full. You hit it. The school boards, the commissions, you know how to organize. That's why you're already there, right? We have to hit that. We have to get that pipeline full because, like you said, they have taken advantage of the redistricting in 2010.
We're asleep.
They were asleep, and I don't think you meant to say this, but you said we're not going to wait 4 years. No, we're
not
going to
waiting.
work
It's
all this
nonstop.
time, and the next 2 years
If-
is awfully important.
Right.
because We've got to get
Even if we're
people
looking
used
at
to
the next
voting
4
every
years, that work
single
has to
time.
start.
Yeah,
soon.
and that was my point.
Right.
We need that lead time, like
Yeah.
we need that time, that runway.
Right.
Right.
We need that runway.
Right.
And I don't feel like we have runway right now, but
Right.
between now and
Right.
November to do what needs to happen in November, and that is get somebody other than Hillary or Trump elected.
Right.
We don't
Damn, I
have the
wish
run-
Biden would have
We
been
don't have the
running.
runway to do
We
that.
don't have the runway to do that.